Welcome, ladies. Today I am talking about some lies that can just sneak into your life that you may not even realize that are there. But I am so passionate about this because we're not called to live in a life of lies, because lies are not good and it's just gonna hold you down, weigh you down, burden you, and ultimately it's not gonna let you live the life that God has for you and that God has called you to, which is a life of holiness and a life of truth. And we find that truth in the Lord, not from this world, not from people, not from our spouse, not from anything but God. So let's just dive deep into it and talk about some lies that could be in your life. And I want you to be real with yourself, because we can go months and years believing lies and not willing to confront that this spot in our life may not be true, because it might be uncomfortable to change, might be uncomfortable to have to face some stuff that's just kind of hard. But I want you to face it, and I want you to pray about it and bring this to the Lord and just break through a life of just living in an identity that this world gives you and not the Lord. Okay. Lie number 1, your worth is in your beauty. Y'all, we all know social media, even going out, work, church, whatever it may be, beauty for ladies is a huge thing. I mean, think about all the products that you may buy or want to buy. Skincare to make you look younger, smoother skin, less blemishes, hair care to help you have thicker hair, healthier looking hair, blonder hair, whatever it may be, an outfit that makes you look tinier or more curvy. Beauty is just, it has been in this part of our life and our world really, I think, forever. And I think God does have a design in beauty, but our worth should not be in our beauty. So here are some questions I want you to consider. Will you go out without makeup? If your answer is no, I would argue you put some of your worth into beauty. Because if you don't feel confident in the skin, the body that God has given you, then you're feeling like you need validation from somewhere else, or you feel like you might need to hide. So really ask yourself, okay, no, I would not go to work or to church without makeup. Here's another one. If I told you no shopping for a year, would you get mad or say absolutely not? If you constantly feel like you need to be shopping, buying the newest trends, always getting a new outfit, then it's possible that part of your worth is in beauty, because you have to feel validated by what you wear. Here's a few more, and I'm just going to say these, and you can stop the video and think through it if you need to. You recognize beauty in the room first thing. So you may recognize the most beautiful people in the room right when you walk in. Or you've thought how others would be prettier if they just did X. Y'all, I'm guilty of this. This is how I'm putting this one. I used to think early in college where a lot of girls didn't wear makeup, and that like blew my mind. But I was like, man, she just wore a little concealer, she'd look so much better because she just looks tired all the time. Or if she just wore this base, it would help cover and she would just look prettier. But what does that show? That shows right there that part of my worth was in beauty, because a person needed to wear this makeup to make them look prettier. But who says you have to look prettier? Who says you have to not have dark circles or blemishes covered? You don't. That's a lie. That's wrong thinking. But it's because this world promotes it so much, it's easy to fall into. And then lastly, y'all, this is a big one, and I don't have much time because I have so much to cover. But you wear revealing clothes to show off your body. Revealing can mean a lot of things. It can mean tight clothes. It can mean lack of clothes. Showing off all of your curves, your skin, your cleavage. Yeah, I already said curves. Everything. If you feel like you have to wear clothing that has that to an extent, however much or little it may be, some of your worth could be in beauty. Before I move on, I'm not saying I'm perfect at any of these. As I wrote all of these down, a lot of them I see areas that I struggle with. And so that's why I just consider you to really think about each thing and why you answer yes or no to the questions. The second one is that your worth is in your relationship. This is so easy, but let me ask you some of these questions. Don't feel happy unless you're in a relationship. If your relationship is going bad, you feel hopeless, defeated, and down all the time. Until that relationship is good, you cannot be good. So your happiness and joy depends on your relationship's happiness and joy. When you start noticing where areas of joy are connected to worldly things, you can just see that you have found some sort of worth in that. And I'm saying these are the lies because our identity should be in the Lord. Our worth should be in the Lord. So if my relationship is going bad, I am still okay because there's joy in the Lord. I know the Lord will get through it. I know how the Lord sees me. I know my spouse is not perfect. But if my identity is partly in my husband, that's a lie, that I'm believing that my husband is the one who can make me happy, eternally happy. You know, like God is the one where my joy should come from. My husband can bring me happiness, but he's not my source of happiness. And so that is a lie that we get entangled, is believing that a relationship or your spouse or whatever it may be is what you need to be happy. The third one is that your worth is in your job. Here's some questions. If you aren't getting recognized, you get uneasy. You feel like something is wrong if you're not getting recognition. If you're not getting a raise, you feel like you're being taken advantage of because you feel like you're worth more. If your job isn't going smoothly, kind of like the same relationship thing, then you cannot be happy. Lastly, you get jealous of others advancing ahead of you or getting some sort of achievement or award that you didn't get. Now, I will say some of this is normal feelings, but to what extent? Yes, you might feel a little bit of jealousy when someone else gets a raise, and that's okay as long as it doesn't completely defeat you and beat you down, because you know that's not where your worth is. You are going to work hard and you are going to work unto the Lord. And so if you are doing that, you are being faithful and you still don't get that raise, that is okay, because you are not your job. That's not your worth. That's not your identity. 4 is your worth is in your kids. I'm a mama. I totally can get this one. Some questions to ask is, if your kids do bad or don't perform well, do you take that personally on yourself? You put more work into your kids than you do your marriage, or you put more work into your kids than you do with your walk with God. That means your worth is coming from something more than it should be coming from the Lord. And lastly, let's just say your kid is grown, even if you have toddlers. I don't want to say past, that's too sad. But let's say they've gone off to college and you feel like you've lost your whole sense of purpose and identity. Because while it is your job, it is your calling, God has blessed you with that kid, they are God's. They are not yours. They are yours to steward, but they are not your identity. They are not your full purpose in life. Your full purpose in life is to glorify the Lord, be in relationship with the Lord, get to know Him more. And so when your kids do go off to college, do get married, do whatever, you're going to miss them. It's going to be hard for a while, but you're going to be okay because your worth isn't in them. Your worth is in your following. Yikes! This is a newer one, but so prevalent with social media just blowing up right now. You may believe the lie that your worth comes from social media if you check your post probably every 5 minutes after it's posted to see if it's starting to blow up or get likes or get views. How about you maybe delete a post if it doesn't have good engagement because it's embarrassing to you that this post only got 5 likes or whatever it may be. It could be that the number of views or likes that you get affects how you feel. So when something's really big and it blows up for whatever your version of viral is, you feel on top of the world and good and like, oh yeah, I did such good content, people care about this. But when it does bad, you're like, nobody likes me, nobody cares about my life, I'm never going to be good enough, yada, yada, yada. But basically, your mood is defined by how your social media does. It could be that you get jealous when you see other people with bigger followings. Okay, lastly is that your worth is just simply in yourself. Your mood is dependent on how much you get done or don't get done. You get mad at yourself if you don't accomplish as much as you had on your to-do list or as you had wished you were going to do. You feel that you just need to try harder. If you could just try a little bit harder, put in a little more work, then it'd be okay. Instead of relying on the strength of the Lord and going to Him for help. And lastly, in this section, you're not praying, you're not spending time with God. That I think can be the number one factor, is if you were putting all of your worth and identity and strength into yourself, is if you're not going to the Lord. If the Lord is our strength and we need to set, our lives on a solid foundation, then we have to know truth. We have to know God, and we have to know, we have to go and learn from the Lord and allow Him and the Holy Spirit to work in us and to change us and to transform us. And that's okay. That means some days we don't get as much done as we'd like. And that's okay. That means some days my husband and I are not on the same page. Or if my post, my reel only got 10 likes, and that is okay if I show up to church with greasy, gross looking hair, because I am there to worship the Lord and learn from the Lord. I am not there to get people's approval of beauty in me, or I am not on this earth to get my husband's full 100% approval and satisfaction in me. All of these things, I hope you see how they can tie in together, and how you may not think like, oh no, my worth is not in my beauty, but then maybe one of the questions you're like, oh yeah, no, I would never go out in public without makeup on because I just look sickly. What's wrong with looking sickly? Like, our environment has defined what looks sickly, but really it's just natural. You don't look sickly, you look natural. You have natural darker bags or under eye circles, or you have natural blemishes because our bodies aren't perfect and your hormones are whack. Whatever it may be, it's a society that changes that for us. Anyways, I got off track. The less you put your worth, identity, and hope into some of these lies that I told you about, the less shaken you will be. Things can happen that are hard, may seem unbearable, or might crush you, but it's not going to. Because while you did find a source of happiness in that thing, it was not the core of why you're happy or the core of who you are, because that is in God, and that's that you're a child of God, that you were chosen, you were adopted, that you were loved, and that Jesus died on a cross for you and your sin, so you could be in relationship with the Lord. That is what matters. So let's take the focus less off of what this world says to focus on, and more of what God says that we should focus on. Love you, sisters, and I'll see y'all around.